Pesticides. What word comes to your mind when I say this? Hatred, poison, pollution, mistrust, liberation, a tool? Let's think of pesticides as a tool in a farmer's toolbox. And like all tools in a toolbox, if they get misused or mistreated, they can get damaged, won't work properly, and can be very dangerous. Let's take a drill bit. If you use the wrong type, or if you just use it for too long without switching it out for a new one, that tip can become dull, the bit becomes useless, misshapen, and maybe even dangerous. This concept applies to all types of pesticides. When they get misused, or if they get overused, they can become ineffective. It is particularly more common in insecticides, and that leads to insecticide resistance. In alfalfa, there is an invasive insect called the western alfalfa weevil, as seen in the top two images. This beetle's larva can eat an entire field and leave nothing behind if the populations are large enough, which is really frustrating. Insecticides have been doing a pretty good job of keeping them in check, but recently there are weevil populations in Alberta that are starting to show signs of resistance. For example, after a farmer applies an insecticide, the weevil population is practically unchanged. But there is hope. There are other tools that in combination might be able to do the trick. There are other pesticides, but these tend to be more costly and a little bit less effective. But in combination with good farming practices and with the help of our natural enemies like parasitoid wasps, there is help. But what's a parasitoid wasp? Well, it's like a parasite in that it lives within a host. But parasitoids are slightly different in that they kill that host when they're done with it. So it's kind of a win-win. Less weevils, less pesticides being used. So this is where my research comes into play. I'm looking at what's going on in these fields, and I do this in 3 parts. So the first part is that I'm looking at insect diversity, and I do this throughout the growing season by collecting sweep samples and then identifying which insects are present, how many there are, and how it changes throughout the season. This allows us to look at how both beneficial insects as well as pest insect populations change. The second and third part of my research is mapping the occurrence of insecticide resistance as well as parasitism levels in southern Alberta and parts of Saskatchewan. I'll be collecting samples and then testing them for resistance, and then looking to establish which parasitoids are in each region. In doing this, we can establish what's going on in these fields, where the parasitoids are, which parasitoids are where, and then give this information to the farmers, let them be more informed so that way they can take the best tool out of their toolbox, use it the most effectively in order to decrease the need for pesticides, but still maintain good crop yields.